Hey friends, Caleb here. Welcome to the Daily Devo. There are only two kinds of people in the end: those who say to God, "Thy will be done," and those to whom God says in the end, "Thy will be done." C.S. Lewis. All sin has its roots in pride. And the two types of people C.S. Lewis describes in that quote I just said are either the people who lay down their innate desire to be their own God and surrender to the true Lord, or the people who embrace the lie that they can be their own God. Lewis goes on to say, all that are in hell choose it. Without that self-choice, there could be no hell. No soul that seriously and constantly desires joy will ever miss it. Those who seek find. Those who knock, it is opened. We're in our series called The Devil is a Liar, and the lie we are debunking today is the lie that says, you are God. Now, a few days back, if you remember, we talked about the lie that says you are weak, and here we are talking about a contradicting lie on the extreme opposite end of the spectrum. Have you ever noticed that the devil always overplays his hand? When we go way, way, way back, there was a time when the devil was called Lucifer, the angel of light, and he was actually the worship leader of heaven. And one day he thought he could be God. In fact, he thought he could make his throne higher than God's throne. And God cast him down, and the rest is history. But all of these years later, the lie that you can be your own God still pervades our world. We want control. We want things in our life to be centered around our desires. We don't know what we're asking for because mankind left to itself is hell. But there's good news. Let's look at our verse of the day, 1 Peter 5, verse 5. Starting a little ways through, it says, "Clothe yourselves, all of you, with humility toward one another. For God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble." God opposes the proud. Buy the lie that you can be your own God, and you'll be standing in opposition against the one true God. But God gives grace to the humble. Renounce the lie that you can be your own God. Submit yourself to the one true God. Cultivate a life of humility, and God's favor will actually rest on you. See, that word grace here in 1 Peter 5:5 is the currency of heaven. It's the favor of God, and it's for the humble. When my son was younger, he loved these little wooden train sets. Now he's moved on to Legos and Magna-Tiles, but when he would play with these little wooden trains, sometimes he would set the cars down and he would have them reversed. And he would say, Dada, why doesn't it work?" And I didn't try to explain to him how reversing the polarity of magnets means there can be no connection, only opposition. I simply helped him turn the car around. But this reminds me of our verse of the day, because 1 Peter 5:5 says, our hearts are like a magnet, either attracting or repelling God's favor in our life. When we harbor pride in our hearts, we position ourselves in such a way that we're actually repelling God's favor in our life. We're pushing it away. Worse yet, Proverbs 16:5 says, the proud will surely be punished. But when we choose humility and submit our own will to the Lord, the polarity of our heart is reversed, and God's favor, His grace, is actually attracted. We can draw upon His grace in our lives. To round out this Devo with some more C.S. Lewis, Lewis defines humility as not thinking less of yourself, but rather thinking of yourself less. So that's a good place to start. Today, would you take a minute and ask the Lord to humble you? Ask Him to reveal those dark spots of pride in your heart and to give you grace to live in such a way that His favor can rest upon you. God bless you.